Arlington location. It's glitching. It said wait while I transfer you call and it won't. Hello? They're just doing like the 255th District Court. They're doing like the hotel did the other day. Hello? So they said, please hold. CPS. It's not red. They didn't say, hello, this is CPS. Please hold. No greeting. Just please hold. Yes, I left a message. CPS, multiple different CPS workers at CPS would not do their mandatory reporting of child abuse and interference with child custody crimes. That's criminal. I'm not quite sure how to intercept that because I'm sorry. I'm not able to speak. You're transferring me this quickly, ma'am. I thought it was mandatory reporting, ma'am, that everyone in my environments refused to do.
Thank you for calling the office of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. You have reached the office located at 2700 Penn Street, Fort Worth,
They
Texas.
forwarded me back into the
For
queue.
English, press 1.
I've
For
already
Spanish,
been through this.
press 2. Well, currently I'm up front at the front desk.
I'm sorry, you're currently at front desk. Yeah, yes, I was saying that I've been getting transferred around years to get nowhere. So you're at the front desk. What's your name?
My name is Stacy. What are you trying to? What do you mean?
Are you trying to deflect, Stacy? You're trying to deflect like a lot of other people do. What did I call?
Yes. Who are you trying to speak?
You don't want to tell me what I called? This is rude.
I'm sorry. Excuse me.
I asked what I called. You don't want to tell me what I called? That's rude.
Oh, I didn't hear that you. I didn't hear that you asked that. Had I heard it, I would have responded. This is CPS. We're located in Fort Worth.
Fort Worth? I put in the Arlington location. Oh, I got transferred. Well, do you have the number for the Arlington location?
Report abuse. I can give you a.
I don't want to do it over the phone. How do I report abuse? I'd like to do it in person. I don't want to do it over the phone.
No, to file any kind of report, you have to do it over the phone.
Why did they change? Why would they rob people of the ability to come in and talk about critical things in person and put child abuse on hold? Why don't the government give people options since I've been in my abuse?
File a report over the phone, and then once it gets issued to
It hasn't been working that way. Why would Child Protective Services rob someone of the right to talk about something serious in person?
Ma'am, I'm trying to explain to you. I'm trying to explain. Whenever you do your first initial report over the phone, once it has been assigned to a caseworker, then you will meet that caseworker in person.
Okay, but that hasn't been happening. They close it real quick to cover for crimes and making it impossible for me to protect my child and have any access to her. Taking bribes is criminal, and buying off courts in an army full of people, interference with child custody is a felony charge. And people not doing that mandatory reporting is a misdemeanor charge, especially for CPS to do it. So I'm not quite sure how I called, pushed the button for Arlington and I got Fort Worth on the phone, but I'll go ahead and try. Do you have the number for Arlington? You said there were several locations. How many locations do you have? How many do you have?
In Arlington.
How many do you have?
Three. Ma'am, there's 3 locations in Arlington.
Okay, well, just give me one. I should be able to.
Okay, let me place you on hold. Let me get the number. Give me 1 second.
You got to place me on hold? This is how long? Transferring around the games. 10 o'clock to get nowhere, but in fact, this year's. I'm hanging up. They're just going to play games. Okay.
All right. So I have the number. Let me know when you're ready for it.
Okay. Yes, there was a report done. I don't have the report number right now. Am I able to give you my name? They transferred me to a case manager that will not return my calls, but there's mandatory reporting, especially for Child Protective Services and denial of investigation.
Do you know the name of the worker?
No, I can't remember the worker's name. but I can give you my name.
Okay. What is your name?
Ma'am, I have questions, ma'am.
Yes, I'm right here.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
You looked it up and you said you have to see if you can find my worker.
Yes, ma'am.
Who's the worker's? What's the worker's name?
Yes.
The worker's name.
I don't have your information, so I have to look up and see with your name and birthday, see who the worker is, because I personally don't have your information. I personally can't give you information. The worker is the one that has to give you information, or her supervisor.
Well, these catch-22s makes it impossible to get a resolution if you're calling CPS giving your personal information now, and they're withholding information in malice, depriving you of case numbers and vital information, and won't tell you if the case is open or closed. That's essentially denying services and not getting that felony charge. They're making it impossible for you to get a remedy for profit, and then playing all these games to get nowhere all these years, dissecting a family and keeping them apart for profit. Child protective services, enforcing abuse and covering for other crimes. So I'm not quite as sure how to get a legal remedy if I'm deprived of legal representation and people repeatedly rack up felonies year after year with no consequences. I think that's a horrible for CPS to abuse power that they have and cover and enforce child abuse and keeping families apart for profit. So once again, you guys are making it impossible. If I'm giving you my personal information, you're refusing case numbers, status information, like you've done years. I can't get anything resolved. And then when I go in person, I'm giving criminal trespasses and malice, arrested.
Ms. Clark, I am just an admin here. I can't get into cases. I can only look and see. We're as admins here. We're limited. We only have limited information.
I've worked with afflicting, ma'am, that I've called Child Protective Services years, and there's always a reasoning behind you guys racking up felonies with no accountability. If I'm giving you my personal information and you won't give me a case number or status, it's impossible for me to get a remedy like it's been years. And talking over me is not, if the FBI investigates you, is not going to alleviate any of the charges you guys have chose to rack up for yourself. So how can I get anything done if you're refusing case information, my caseworker, and then blaming me for it and trying to talk over me?
I'm not refusing information.
Okay, well then that's why what I call for. Can we get it? We're just wasting time, ma'am. I'm pressed for time. People like to start arguments on vital things and punish me for reporting abuse, even family members. Can we concentrate on me giving you my personal information and finding out who the caseworker is and the case number?
Like I said, I have limited information, man. I am the admin.
What you just got my personal information. What's your name?
Your name is. I got your information.
What's your name?
Who your worker is.
What's your name?
My name is Modesta Melendez.
And your position?
Admin.
Okay, you're admin. And what was your name? How do you spell it? Your first name?
Modesta. My last name is Modesta Melendez. My last name is Melendez, Melendez.
Okay, so I've called Child Protective Services, giving you my personal information, and you can't find anything. You can't direct me, period.
You didn't even give me a chance.
Okay, well, can we do that, ma'am? Instead of argue, people stage conflict all the time and contribute to psychological abuse for me trying to get services.
And the worker supervisor that might have information on your case. But you accusing me and accusing...
Ma'am, you're deflecting, ma'am. All this psychological abuse, I thought torment and trying to get services was a federal charge. Oppressing someone repeatedly over and over for them trying to get services like people are allowed in this country. Rights and privileges, I thought doing that in a conspiracy in all my environments were federal charges. I thought it was a felony. But once again, I'm still waiting on the information a considerable amount of time. Let me know when you're willing to give it to me.
I'm not really sure what you want me to do now.
So I've called Child Protective Services, giving you my sensitive information.
All right.
Where do we go from this point?
You're giving me your name and your date of birth.
What are we doing with it, ma'am? What are we doing with it from this point?
Well, I was going to look up your worker, but you seem to...
Okay, when can it happen? I'm making a complaint because you won't do it. And you just playing mind games and gaslighting me. I just don't know why I have to repeatedly take this abuse every phone call and every environment that I'm in. Is there a particular time while you're stalling and won't give me the information all this time?
I'm not even stalling. You're the one keeping me on the phone, giving me all this other information.
Okay, I have to take the abuse, ma'am, for years. Go ahead. I'll take it. I have no choices. It's all my fault. Like with family. Voicemail. I never got it. Voicemail. So she's looking up the information. Blame me for it. Now I'm placed on hold. CPS, he's not playing games. I'm a mama bear. So he is not playing games, keeping me away from my kids. These are felonies. Interference with child custody is a state jail felony charge. If you're CPS and you want to do it, you can still go to jail, state jail. If you're a court and you want to go to jail and do it, that's still a state jail felony. It doesn't change for you. Marion County, Deputy Do, that's still a state jail felony for you. That would not allow me to have access to my son. And I was a legal custodial parent. Multiple CPS workers. If you want to scam, that's a state jail felony for you. A test for school teachers that lied and scam, that's still a state jail felony for you. Waco CPS that I wrote letters to and told everybody everything that was going on, that does not change. That is still a state jail felony for you. Tampering with evidence is still a felony charge. Obstruction of justice is still criminal. Mandatory reporting that you refuse to do is still a misdemeanor charge. I thought these are just the crimes that I'm knowledgeable of. Well, I don't know all the other conspiracy charges that there could also be as well. Altering court documents to help these people not get their charges is still criminal as well. That did not change. Family Place FLP, that had me fill out all this paperwork. I had to walk this great distance. First, I did it at the family place. They said they didn't get it. So I walked this great distance to do it again, okay, at another location. They moved me to a halfway house on Bluffman. I redid the whole thing a second time. Faxed all the papers, got a confirmation. They said they didn't see it again. So, determined, desperate to see my child that has been taken away from me in corruption and malice, I walked back again in the heat the third time. So then the third time they wouldn't return my calls, wouldn't speak to me. I told them multiple different times I needed help because there was false allegations and government officials were taking bribes to keep me away from my children. Several. They wouldn't talk to me again after that. So I went to the location because they never returned my calls. It was always voicemails. Then called the police on the location. The police came and covered for it. So I went to South Central Patrol, desperate and furious at the government and their, criminal activity with no accountability. They were still covering for crimes to keep me away from my child again. I called 911 because I was distraught and worried about my child. Year after year, repeatedly, it's unaddressed. She witnessed my false arrest at age 8, screaming in terror betrayed by the police department, arresting her mom in front of her for profit. She is now 14, about to be 15, and we're still going through these games. So whatever the stepmom is doing, the dads, I don't care. With they terrorize you or whatever the consequences, you interfering in my child custody rights on blatant lies is still a state jail felony charge. Something needs to be done. 8, she witnessed my false arrest at 8, and she's now 14. A mom that took her swimming, did all kind of things. We had, family meetings, prayed together, all kind of different things, had family night. Like I said, I'm not perfect, but I tried the best that I could. But pop fireworks almost every 4th of July. Went to go see Christmas lights at multiple different locations, went to school events. So why don't I just go in? I went to jail in person. Criminal trespasses in person. I'm just trying to see how many patterns equal an arrest. How many felonies until it's the felony that where it's the straw that breaks the camel's back. Like I asked Frank Crowley, all these different false arrests. I said, what is your breaking point? Is it going to be 30? Is it going to be 150? Is it going to be 300? How many false arrests is it going to be before you stop covering for crimes? Then that was the last one. But then they were demanded that I go to the living room because I was mentally ill while they're free finally on out of jail on false charges. Some kind of way in their reasoning, even though I had got time served, I had to go. Part of my release details of getting time served is to go get mental health treatment for this criminal trespass. So once again, when I went there and the lady said, I'm showing that you're getting Social Security, it's from another party. And I said, they won't give it to me. I can't stop it. Can you help me get it? She said, I can't. She left and said, okay, I'll see what I can do. This was what the court ordered for me to get help. Then she said, I can't help you, and directed me to Salvation Army to keep me from the Social Security benefits, years of back benefits that I have been embezzled by the Social Security Administration to keep me from getting funds.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay. What is it that we're trying to do, ma'am?
Who are you?
My name is Yannette.
Who?
Yannette?
Yannette?
I'm trying to help you. Yes, ma'am.
In your position?
I'm an admin.
Where at?
Where you called, ma'am.
Do you know where that is?
I do, but you're asking us questions, but you're needing our help, so I'm trying to help
you. Yeah, I don't know why you try to conceal what location I called. That's not normal.
You called us and you're asking us for.
I got transferred to another party, so I don't know what I'm calling.
Okay, but you're for CPS, but you're giving an attitude, and I'm trying to help you.
Oh, I get slandered and gaslit all the time. Okay, ma'am, I have to start over from scratch. She transferred you and didn't tell you anything, and you're trying to help?
She did not. I came up to the front.
You came to the front.
Was there, so I'm trying to help.
Oh, this happened when I was talking to someone on the intercom at the police department. Someone interrupted someone speaking on the intercom, which is highly unusual. How did someone interrupt another intercom? She got busy with talking to someone on the intercom? But I just a strange pattern of people getting busy while they're talking to me for year after year. So I'm not quite sure what's going on. What do you need, ma'am? All I wanted to know was information on cases.
You've been on hold for a few minutes. That's why I was trying to help you. You're more than welcome to call back to see if somebody else can help you. But you've been on hold for a few minutes. That's why I got on the phone to try to help you out and see what it is that you were needing.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So you got on the phone to help because I was been on the hold so long, but your solution is to call back?
Not my solution. My solution is to try to find out what you're needing because you're giving us an attitude for no reason. I'm simply.
Yeah, I got this from my son. I apologize. What would be appropriate behavior for you?
Not yelling at me.
Okay, don't yell at you. Nice. Okay, I'm sorry.
So how can I help you, sweetie?
Yes, I'd like to know the status of a case.
Okay. Is it your case?
Yes. My name should be on it.
Okay. Give me just a second. Let me see if I can pull it up.
You got to see if you can pull it up? Okay.
Yes.
I don't. Is there any particular reason why the lady I was just talking to said she was going to do it and never did? But it's my fault.
I'm not sure, ma'am. She's okay. Not in front of me again.
Okay.
I'm trying to help you out, and you're giving me an attitude. Give me just a moment.
Okay. Mind games that you have to see to believe. This is the time. Years. Arlington?
Arlington?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know if it was adult services or for children?
For children.
For children? Okay. Give me quick second.
You need another second?
Because it pulls up something different. Give me just a moment.
Okay, you need a moment. So if you're an abuser, you want to degrade and violate someone emotionally. If you're obsessed, that's something that you relentlessly do any opportunity that you can get. It's just very unfortunate for me that my abusers allowed to manipulate my calls, my transit, my hotel stays, everything that I do, forcing me to have this big, huge torture campaign crossing the streets, shelters, hospitals, jails, courts, computers.
What I've been able to pull up, it just shows that everything is closed in your name.
Okay, well, when did it close? Okay. I don't know if it recorded her saying everything was closed. All these holes, each question, there's a hole. So I told the abuser through the unusual way he wanted to communicate that my time was valuable, don't waste it. Okay? So now he's manipulating a whole bunch of different environments to waste my time. That's a really imperative thing that he like a really important part of my abuse that he likes for people to waste a considerable amount of time. Have me sitting on buses that are going out of service, riding a bus, get off this bus to get on another bus, then that bus leaving, then you got to get on another bus that don't come for an hour. Then you go to registers and they're leaving the register every time you go to the front counter. Here to go to Nexus. Can I have pads and tampons? Here's tampons. Ask somebody else for pads. Then you ask the other party for pads. I'm busy, and they never come back with them. Go to the hospital, ask for crackers. You wait 30, 40 minutes and never get the crackers. Then you put it on the channel and the descriptions that you never got the crackers. Then they immediately bring them. Wait at the front counter. You're at the front counter at this current hotel I'm at. 2 people in the front counter alone. 2 people trying to interrupt it. And each time I get my phone, then they leave the party alone. If he's currently speaking to me, why are you interrupting him? Help checking someone out a room. You see us speaking. Why are you more important to people than me each line that I'm in? So True Worth announces on their loudspeaker, snow cones. It was hot outside. They got me for that one. They know exactly how to lure someone out into abuse. So they lured me out into this line and this long line to get snow cones. Come to find out it was hot dogs that I didn't want. And then the snow cone line was the farthest line that I've ever seen since I was there. They were giving everybody 2 or 3 snow cones, but this line was strange because it was like they were deliberately holding it up. And then when I started recording it, then they just passed out snow cones to people that didn't even order. Then when they got to me, they weren't giving out 2 anymore. It had to be 1. And he lied and said he never said that he was giving out 2, but he said, I'm not giving out 2 anymore. I'm giving out 1 now. So then when I got the True Worth, they tried to steal my clothes, and a gang stalker tried to cover for it and said, I gave you your clothes at the front desk. People leave bags in their seats all the time. That's a big thing at True Worth. And it gets annoying because you can't find a seat because people are saving these seats with their bags day in and day out ever since I've been there. And around August of last year. So I repeatedly saw the same pattern ever since I've been at that location. But for some kind of reason, they had changed the policy the day that I left my new clothes and a couple of hygiene products in a bag. It was only 1 outfit that was not even that, amazing. It's just clothes to keep me by because I keep repeatedly getting robbed of clothes. Still on hold for the information on the closed cases. So then someone told me, no, that was True Worth staff that took your bags. So I went to the front. The lady kept covering for it, leaving the front desk while I was talking. And eventually they weren't there. When I got to the front desk, I had to wait and flag down people that were deliberately leaving the front desk. And then were walking off talking while I was talking, asking questions about my bag. So I kept probing the situation, and then they were saying, oh, there's the guy right there. So I tracked him down. He lied and said he didn't have my bag, but there were witnesses. So then they got caught in it, and furious that I kept incriminating people and catching them in their crimes, they banned me in corruption. But I have bans all over the places preventing me from living in several different cities. But this is illegal and repeatedly unaddressed. So now I have to flee to get out of the surrounding areas because it's already bought off and controlled, making it impossible for me to live there. Because all they do comes blatant lies, scams, CTs, and then all kind of different things, bans. I can't live there. Grocery stores cutting off food supplies year after year. And now they're going to do in the same location, like the repeated pattern is saying to start up the same thing. But it's impossible. I can't live at any of these shelters. So I have to travel, commute to a foreign location if they allow me to use transit. And then there, wait till they do the same thing again there. Because there's no accountability. You there, ma'am?
Yes. So, when was the case open, ma'am?
You were giving me information on the case, and now you're asking me questions. I asked you to see when the last case was closed, and you had me on hold a long, considerable amount of time.
Stop, hold on. Again, you're yelling at me, and I'm just trying to find out which case I'm trying to give you information on.
You left, you put me on hold to get information, and you're starting an argument to deflect on the fact that you didn't give me the information you put me on hold to get.
Argument. You're yelling at me again, and I'm simply trying to find out which case.
Right. You put me on hold to tell me the last case that you saw that was closed a considerable amount of time.
I can't give out a bunch of information. We're not allowed to give you information, especially if the case is closed. We're supposed to send you to records so that way you can contact records and get the information from them.
I've contacted records, but I don't know why I have to be treated like other people aren't treated. Why would CPS repeatedly be allowed to conceal and commit crimes to keep me away from my daughter and enforce child abuse and other criminal activity repeatedly over and over again? I'm sorry, what was your name?
My name is Jeanette.
How do you spell that?
Y-A-N-E-T.
And your last name?
I'm not going to give you my last name.
Okay.
Considering that you're yelling at me. And
I'm just not understanding why I'm telling you about crimes and you deflect on me yelling at you to conceal criminal. It's not crime to yell at someone, but what I'm reporting to you is criminal.
You have a great day, man.
Staging conflict year after year. When is the FBI ever going to investigate this, ma'am? Having me on hold all this time to get nowhere year after year playing all these mind games? They're probably going to give me a criminal trespass, but there has to be a stopping point.
Dallas 911.
Yes, there's been interference with child custody crimes for years, keeping me away from my child. And there's been a lot of government officials racking up felonies and interference with child custody, a state jail felony charge.
What's the address where you're at?
I'm also fleeing a domestic violence crisis, and I can't. There's been a considerable army.
What's your name, ma'am?
It's Kiana, K. So I have all these things happening to me, and I can't get law enforcement. But it's not safe that I'm not calling 911, telling them I'm not safe, and they repeatedly keep interrupting me.
What's your apartment number?
Okay, so I've been reporting to CPS that I don't have access to my child and child abuse, and they keep covering for it, and the police department. So they have torn my family apart long enough, and I want consequences and access to my children. These are federal charges and felonies that are repeatedly unaddressed. So in addition to that, I'm fleeing a domestic violence crisis, and it's not safe for me because transit is controlled and malice, and I get threats and mistreatment and psychological abuse every single day.
So how can we help you right now, Ms. Clark? In this moment right now, what can police do for you?
Yeah, this is a repeated pattern. Why would someone, 911 operator, withhold what they're supposed to do? Why would an army full of people be condescending and I'm giving them information, and instead of doing their job task and of directing someone and coordinate what they feel that individual needs, they ask me what they should do? 911 hung up.
What is an elite? You need police, fire, ambulance?
I need a manager because I need to report that 911 repeatedly keeps hanging up in my face covering for crimes. That's criminal. It's charges to do that, to intercept 911 calls.
What is your name?
It's Kiana Clark.
Kiana?
Yes.
Give me 1 second. I'll transfer you over to
Okay.
the supervisor.
You said you're Supervisor Harris?
Yes, Harris.
Okay, is it criminal for 911 operators to interrupt emergency calls?
What do you mean interrupt emergency?
If I'm making an emergency call and my abusers controlling 911 and having them interrupt me making emergency calls, is that criminal?
No. What do you mean interrupt you? What are they doing?
They're keeping me from making emergency calls in malice to cover for crimes and other abuse.
Okay, what type of emergency call are you trying to report, ma'am?
Is it criminal for 911 operators to repeatedly interrupt me making emergency calls? Is that criminal?
No. So I'm trying to see, what are you trying to report? Is there something that I can help you with?
Are we deflecting on if 911 operators are committing a crime? You don't want to discuss that in your supervisor?
I'm trying to answer your question, ma'am.
Is it criminal for 911 to enter? But if you're deflecting on 911 operators not following protocol and intercepting emergency calls as a supervisor, what's your name?
It's Harris.
Harris? And you're a supervisor for what?
For Dallas Police Communications.
Okay, and I'm asking you if it's criminal and you don't want me to know that and you're deflecting?
I told you no already, ma'am.
Okay, well, it says right here, ma'am, I'm not able to speak. According to Texas Penal Code Section 42062, interference with 911 is an offense and may result in a Class A misdemeanor. Normally, interfering with a 911 call is a result of domestic violence. Each scenario is different. There are many reasonings.
Ma'am, do you have an emergency right now? Is there
I wanted to get accountability for are you covering for the misdemeanor charge? And then lying about if it's criminal or not, we're not going to get a resolution.
Is there something that I can help you with right now?
I'm just not quite certain on why 911 would repeatedly cover and dispatch out crooked police that cover for crimes, how that's being done year after year. So if you're not going to get any resolutions, I don't know what's going to be done, ma'am, if you won't hold these 911 operators accountable that are repeatedly committing crimes and then dispatching out crooked police that are bullies.
Do you need the police, ma'am?
Yes, I like to report interference with child custody. I've been reporting it years, and I'm not quite sure why you are a supervisor and multiple other supervisors keeps covering for crimes 911 operators keep committing. That's a misdemeanor charge that you're covering for that repeatedly keeps happening year after year.
Online, ma'am.
I'm sorry?
Child custody interference is done online. You have to go online to make the report.
But it's an army full of people making false statements. Where I've made reports years online to get nowhere. You guys refusing not dispatch again to cover for police? Okay, and crimes happening to me?
That report is done online. I can give you the phone number to the substation so you can talk to an officer at the station.
So you guys have now been reduced to cover for police by railroading me back to doing things online? Clearly starting incriminated?
Would you like the phone number for the police substation?
That's why they wanted to be in Dallas.
Ma'am.
Okay, so you're saying that I can't report interference with child custody, period. It has to be done online?
Yes, ma'am. You have to go to DallasPolice.net.
Okay, it doesn't work. They don't do investigation. I've done dozens of reports that are ignored. Okay, ma'am, since you're covering for crimes once again, I just don't know how many charges. I mean, how much evidence is needed before something's done. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Can I help you?
Yes, may I have your name?
Sergeant Basin, can I help you?
Who?
Sergeant Basin.
Basin, your badge number?
10068.
Yes, I made several different reports and I don't know the status of them, and I want to give you my information and could see if you can give me direction. I've reported interference with child custody crimes dozens of times, which is a felony charge. I reported child abuse, false statements all over the place. Detective Perez was on it and starting arguments. And they set up supervised visits and corruption, and I can't get them.
Okay, who am I speaking with?
My name's Kiana, Keyana, Clark, Clark.
Okay, do you have a case number by chance?
No, because there's several.
Excuse me?
There's several. Can I give you my information and you pull it up?
Well, let me just look at your most recent one. That way we can see what we're dealing with here. What was the last interference in child custody that you filed.
I'm going through it now. Is it a possibility that I can report it to you right now at the youth division, Dallas Youth Division?
What you can do is you can report the interference with child custody online.
It can't be done with the police. What about the child abuse that I repeatedly keep reporting?
Well, the child abuse needs to be you need to call 911 and have.
I've already done it. I mean, why can't we get a response? Why was it ignored? I thought it was mandatory reporting. Or you commit a misdemeanor crime?
Investigated by child abuse. Okay, this is youth. We don't investigate child abuse. They have their own unit.
What do you investigate? Because Detective Perez was on the case with all my multiple reports. They said they put him on the case.
What is Detective Perez's badge number? There's multiple Perez's, so I'm not sure if you're referring to. You might be referring.
You have my information and you have it in front of you. I just get the runaround. You're a police and you have the computer in front of you with all my information on it.
Like I said, I don't know if it's a Perez that works in a different unit. You're mentioning different units. Example, child abuse.
But he's in youth. You said you go to another location, but supposedly Detective Perez was on the case, so I'm getting the runaround.
No, you're not getting a runaround. I don't know what.
But I don't know if you have a computer right in front of you. Why it's been impossible for our locations to give me any information for years. How it has not happened and it's enforced that I go nowhere year after year. Is this repeated charges that are unaddressed? Forcing me to have to be in this living nightmare with no escape. But I don't know how to get anywhere if you have the information in front of you and like all departments I call refuse to give it to me. And then when I go in person, scam and keep me from records year after year. I thought these were racked up felonies. And altering documents and reports, what kind of consequences is that? Not only is that tampering with evidence, but you're altering records and corruption.
Yeah. If you want to come up and speak to us in person,
I just wanted to concentrate on multiple government officials conspiring together to keep me away from my children in malice, absolutely year after year with no accountability. I would like to talk about that and all the reports that I made that you're currently looking up right now, and then depriving me of any information in malice, like I had to endure year after year. So I can't get past the gatekeepers scamming to keep me from the information. If you have a computer system right in front of you and got my information and won't give it to me, it's impossible, as it has been years, to get anywhere.
Well, I asked you for the case number for
right, but you got my information. I can do a search if you're demanding the case number, but when I do the searches and get the case numbers, people hang up in malice. They make everything difficult. If I'm giving you my information and
you're making things difficult.
Okay? I've already went through this with CPS when she wouldn't give me information.
You're making things difficult. You are. Because all you do is run your mouth and you don't listen.
You're refusing to give me the information on the case like I asked, call for, and blaming me for it?
You run your mouth and you don't listen. That's all you do, okay? So I ask you a question.
I have to be degraded.
Use control. If you have several hundred reports,
family.
It'd be difficult to find the report that you need me to talk to you about. Okay, so stop repeating yourself and keep seeing malice, all this nonsense, and communicate with me and tell me what you need me to help you with. At shelters, degraded
hospitals,
I'll sit there and just say malice,
hotel staff,
that's
walking down the road by strangers and gay
so
suckers.
If you need to speak to child abuse, I can give you the child abuse phone number. Okay, we don't investigate child abuse.
Who does? Because CPS won't either.
I already told you that, but you don't listen.
Who?
You continue to run your mouth. You don't listen.
Degraded.
Day in, day out.
CPS don't investigate child abuse. They told me they keep closing cases. They just told me that.
CPS. I never once said CPS. Again, you're not listening.
Who does it?
I said child abuse investigates child abuse.
Child abuse? The child abuse unit?
Yeah.
But why was Detective Perez and youth on the case, and you said there's several to cover for his crimes? And then you wouldn't go until you have the records in front of you and then won't look and see which Detective Perez it was, and then blaming me for it. So if they said that he got all my all my reports a year that I've been reporting years that compiled, accumulated from being denied law enforcement, but he was starting arguments and covering for crimes. How was he the detective on my case in youth, and you said that you guys don't do it?
You said child abuse. I
I wanted to know, you have a computer and system in front of you and you keep blaming me for your inability to give me information on who is working on the case to get status information on why Army full of people cover for crimes that happen to me as well as my family, and then blame me for it.
You're calling me. You have the inability to tell me what case number you want me to look up.
You did get my personal information and refused to. Okay, let's see what the last case number was. If you're enforcing that we do it the hard way. Hold on, let me get a case number for you.
That's not hard. That is the most efficient, best way.
I thought you could take my name like other citizens have the right, and then you did legwork and looked it up.
No, because
and then you're saying they've never told me it was multiple Perez's. You're the only person that had the scam that it was too many Perez's with a computer system right in front of them, but refuses to look and through my name to see which one it was, like all people I speak with. I thought obstruction of justice was criminal as well as tampering with evidence. But I'm looking for it.
Okay.
I told you I'm looking for it.
Okay. Well, you want to call back once you find that case number?
It's really hard to get through. People don't answer the phone. But you're refusing to look up under my name?
This phone's answered 24/7, so that's not true. That's complete fiction.
Well, it is complete fiction that you have a computer system in front of you and you're making it impossible to look and do any legwork to give me information on my case. And then all of a sudden there's several Detective Perez's.
Call back
How many Detective Perez's? It's 3 Detective Perez's?
There could be 20. I don't know.
How many do you think the feds would see?
Oh, maybe 1,000.
Well, I imagine that if people that are in jail thought that they weren't going to get accountability. And I imagine if you're government officials, you really don't think that you're going to get accountability, even if it's probably hundreds, thousands of racked up felonies.
Maybe a million.
I don't know, sir. But I can't get past you guys depriving me of information and, your repeated games. It makes it impossible for me to flee as it's been years. So it's fruitless. I don't know how many videos is until something's done. Okay, sir. And what was your badge number again? That depriving me of any information for a resolution of people taking bribes to keep me away from my daughter and corruption year after year? What was your badge number? You don't want to talk now? Another party. Same pattern. Mind games. You don't want to talk? Bus driver's doing it. Leave the front counter. Is there a huge mastermind behind this repeated pattern of behavior? How many patterns equal an arrest? So the problem here is that I have the government enforcing my abuse through law enforcement. So if it's enforced, there's no capability, no possibility, period, for me to escape, which is why you would need to put the government on payrolls. I want it impossible. If I'm paying you, you need to make it impossible for her to flee. If I'm paying you, you need to make it impossible for her to have access to her kids. You do what you need to do, keep her whole family away from her. I'm paying you. You make it impossible. Now, if I'm paying you, when she goes to these shelters, you need to make sure they don't help her. I'm paying you for this, so you make it impossible for these people at these shelters to help her. Now, if I'm paying you to rob her of her clothes, I'm paying you for this. I need you to make sure that these shelters don't give her clothes. I have just paid you to set up a robbery. I have just paid you to take her freedom. I have just paid the bridge to rob her of everything she had 3 times. I have just paid Austin Street to rob her of everything that she had 2 or 3 times. Since we're setting it up and she threatens to call the police, then go ahead and give her items. I have just paid security to rob her of her new bag and phone. Now, here's the problem. We have just robbed her and set up a false arrest and took her car. Now we need to set up a master plan if she tries to escape using transit. Now I'm paying you for this abuse. You guys are working for me. What do? We need to centralize all transit and have the transit working for us to enforce our abuse. So what we'll do, since you're paying us, we'll set up these counterfeit buses and bus drivers. And we'll actually use her bus transit or her transit for abuse. Then there's more psychological damage. Great idea. And what about other passengers that are witnessing it? We'll just let her ride alone. Oh, it's something mysterious. I keep riding alone. Okay, we'll set up counterfeit people on the bus. With the counterfeit people on the bus, instead of her making friendships, we'll have them degrade her and scam to get her off buses. Brilliant, brilliant. That's a master plan. That's how. What if she reports us to the FBI? Well, I'm going to have the FBI on my payroll. So if she reports us to the FBI, they can violate her too. Give her criminal trespasses, scare her, mistreat her. Sounds like a master plan. What if she tries to escape on her phone? Let's control her phone. Control her phone, have her phone on lockdown, making it impossible. We'll make it impossible for her to get a resolution since you are paying for this. Okay, it's impossible on her phone. What if she goes to computers in another place? We'll have that. We'll take care of that too. We'll break into the computers. No one will ever believe it. So she'll never get anything resolved on the computers. We'll make it impossible for her to flee. What if she goes in person? We have that. We'll come personally interrupt. We'll set up security to interrupt her fleeing, making it impossible. What if she goes to church? We got that under control. We'll have police supervising it and enlisting church members into an abuse. Therefore, it's impossible when she goes to church. Family, that's impossible too. What about social workers? We will guard her, bully her, mistreat her from speaking with a social worker every single time, and then blame her for it. Therefore, make it impossible for her to flee. What if she tries to use Greyhound? We'll scam and have security stage conflict and argue with her and try to scheme a criminal trespass to keep her from using Greyhound to flee to another location. Still on the phone, not saying anything. So what about when she signs up for housing and then writes all over the country? We won't give her her mail. We'll have every place that she's staying at rack up felony charges of depriving her of her mail. No one would ever believe it. So when she does housing on her own in locations that we've scammed to keep her from any assistance, she'll never get the information. And if she goes in person, we'll just enlist that location to lie and con to keep her from getting housing. Well, here's the thing. If you're an abuser, you want shelters to put you out on a whim, the party out on a whim when you're upset, endangering their safety, placing them in rooms with gang stalkers, people that steal petty things from them, and all kind of mind the games and weird things. You like that. I hid out of my apartment. That was a problem. And they needed to lure me out of my apartment, set up a false arrest to get me out of my apartment, hiding out from abuse. Okay. The time now is 10:49. I've gotten up at like 3 or 4. This is the kind of personality type that I have to get things done. But once again, it's impossible for me to, because people are taking bribes and on a payroll to enforce that I don't ever escape this abuse until they're held accountable.